Well, first off, thank you very much for everyone to be here today. As you can hear, both from the excitement in the room, when you start off a week with this much excitement, you know that we can only continue to get higher, and that's a change in what I normally have to do, so this is something that I really look forward to both hearing from our guest here today, although I say guest in the proverbial air quotes. Bob Listenbee is here from the office OJJDP, and just spent a couple of days with him last week, toured Philadelphia, saw all the great things that we're doing, and he's here today to make an announcement on behalf of the Department of Justice. And with that, I just want to turn it right over because I don't want to waste any time. I love good news. So Bob, please come on up.
Good morning, everybody. As Everett mentioned, my name is Bob Listenbee, and I'm the administrator of the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention. It's really an honor to be back here in Philadelphia, which has been my home for over 30 years. Earlier this year, the president launched My Brother's Keeper. Too many young people in this country, especially young men of color, do not receive the types of opportunities that open the doors to success in their lives. The administration's vision for My Brother's Keeper is simple. All young people should have the opportunity they need to reach their full potential. My Brother's Keeper focuses on those key moments in the lives of young children that predict their future success. Through this initiative, we are removing systemic barriers to success and reforming core systems. My Brother's Keeper uses proven tools to expand opportunity, including improving access to health care, nutrition, and a high-quality early education for all children. We are also partnering with communities and local law enforcement to reduce violence and make our schools and streets safer. The administration is joining with cities and towns, businesses, tribes, and foundations to connect young people to mentoring, support networks, and the skills they need to find a job or go to college and work their way into the middle class. This spring, My Brother's Keeper Task Force offered a number of recommendations on how we can strengthen communities and transform young lives. Today, we are here to recognize 3 Philadelphia programs that will receive approximately $1 million in grants from the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention to bring the task force recommendations to reality. These programs will help increase educational and employment opportunities, reduce youth violence, and give youth who've been involved in the juvenile justice system a second chance. These programs include the Youth Opportunity Corps, the Department of Justice's Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention, OJJDP, and the Corporation for National Community Service are jointly funding this program, which will enroll at-risk and previously incarcerated youth in national service projects as AmeriCorps members. Through this partnership, OJJDP will support mentoring activities for participating youth. 5 organizations across the nation will receive a total of $2.1 million. The Managing Director's Office here in Philadelphia will receive a grant for more than $225,000. The School Justice Collaboration Program. A 2011 study by the Council of State Governments found that youth who are suspended or expelled are nearly 3 times as likely as other students to be in contact with the juvenile justice system the following year. OJJDP, the Department of Education, and the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration have committed $140 million to implement the School Justice Collaboration Program, keeping kids in school and out of courts. It is a multidisciplinary initiative to improve school climate and to support a school reentry process for youth referred to the justice system. The First Judicial District of Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, will receive a $600,000 grant. Additionally, with support from the Department of Education, OJJDP has awarded $222,000 to the Philadelphia's National Forum on Youth Violence Prevention site to continue and expand its efforts to address youth violence in the 22nd Police District. The City of Philadelphia's Youth Violence Prevention Collaborative will use these funds to strengthen its work and to engage local partners invested in improving outcomes for youth. Under this effort, the school district will work in 2 high-need schools to reduce the numbers of suspensions and violent incidents by creating positive and supportive school climates that support student achievement. Our commitment to our nation's young people remains strong, and we are continually looking for ways to expand our support for our nation's most vulnerable children. Together, we can make a difference through our efforts. We can ensure a brighter future for every child. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Bob, and thank you very much for those great words. I'd like to introduce via Skype the mayor of the 5th largest city in the United States, Mayor Michael Nutter. Mayor.
Well, good morning, everyone. And Everett, thank you very, very much for the introduction. I am in Sacramento, California, participating in the U.S. Conference of Mayors leadership meeting conducted by our president and mayor of Sacramento, President Kevin Johnson. Just yesterday, I made a presentation on behalf of USCM and the My Brother's Keeper Task Force, of which I'm co-chair with Mayor William Bell from Birmingham, Alabama. So it is quite the early morning here. But I'm certainly pleased to be with you in this way. Thanks to technology, I can share in this great announcement this morning. Today's announcement is important, of course, because the epidemic of youth violence across America is devastating and disproportionately impactful to the African American youth in particular, and young men and boys. And so, of course, we have to make this fight each and every day. The terrible reality is that this violence is ripping apart the social contract that binds us together as Americans. And without strong collaborative action, it will weaken us as a nation, destroying the lives of many individuals and families over decades. We have a lot of people to recognize and to thank the resources that are being brought to bear on this great challenge. And so let us give a huge round of applause to Bob Listenbee in the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention. Certainly, we want to thank our Deputy Mayor, Everett Gillison, our Chief of Staff, Dr. William Height, who I know couldn't be there today, Karen Lynch, of course, from the Philadelphia School District, Police Commissioner Ramsey, Deputy Commissioner Bethel, Robert Reed, who we know well from the U.S. Attorney's Office, certainly Ronnie Bloom, who's the Executive Director. Team have been doing incredible work with Kathy Weiss prior to her. Vanessa Garrett-Harley, of course, our DHS Commissioner. Katie Wolfgang, the Chief Service Officer for the city. Rich Greenwald, who's our Executive Director of Youth Violence Prevention Collaborative. And certainly from the Grants Office, managing all the money, is Mari Porter. And we thank her and all of you, officials in the government, activists in the community, our partners and stakeholders in criminal justice. Thank you very, very much. As Bob noted, but 3 U.S. Department of Justice reputation that we have built together, partnership with the city and our federal government, building this partnership as one of the nation's leaders in speaking about and speaking out on this issue of youth violence across America. These awards will help keep our kids safe, keep them in school and away from the criminal justice system. They'll provide the training and work opportunities for at-risk youth, keeping them on the right path, especially young men of color who are so deeply affected by violence, as I mentioned earlier. Let me make a couple of comments about these grants. First, the city, in partnership with our courts, as Bob mentioned, a $600,000 grant for the school diversion program under the U.S. Department of Justice's School Justice Collaboration Program, keeping kids in school and out of court. This is a new program. It'll be led by Deputy Commissioner Bethel, DHS Commissioner Vanessa Garrett Harley, and the Family Court President Judge, Judge Doherty. And we want to thank Judge Doherty for his continued strong support for all the efforts that we're making. And of course, we're working with the school district and Superintendent Height and his team. This was created by Deputy Commissioner Bethel after he noticed kids being arrested for committing relatively minor offenses on school property. Last year, more than 1,500 children aged 10 and above were arrested on school property for a variety of offenses. Some were major violations like assault or bringing a gun to school, yet others were for minor matters like acting out in class, but that led to an arrest with all that goes along with it. The ride to the police district in a car, fingerprinting, photographing. Studies have clearly shown that the trauma just from this process can increase delinquent behavior in our young people. School diversion program aims to reduce the number of arrests by 50% and connect these young people and their families from one of the DHS's 6 community-based intensive prevention services, IPS. These providers receive supportive services that they use to address the underlying causes for this behavior. It also aims to reduce racial disparity in arrests and school disciplinary actions. In 2013, African American students were involved in 75% of the incidents, but accounted for 80% of the arrests, while they only represent about 53% of the student body. We believe this program has the potential to be transformational and serve as a national model, and therefore, we've also brought Drexel University in as our program evaluator. The second grant comes from a collaboration between 2 federal agencies, Corporation for National Community Service and OJJDP. The city will receive nearly $230,000 for the expansion of our city's Power Corps PHL program, of which I am hugely proud, to provide an extra 37 slots for at-risk youth with on-the-job training, support, and access to real jobs. This program is already serving 100 young people, providing them the opportunity to learn new skills and training by working alongside our own city employees in Parks and Recreation and water departments. I believe we have a group of Power Corps PHL participants with us today. Let us recognize them for their perseverance and their commitment to bettering their own lives. Give them a huge round of applause. The third grant is $100,000 for the National Forum for Youth Violence Prevention for expansion of Philadelphia's Youth Violence Prevention Collaborative, which is co-chaired by Police Commissioner Ramsey, Judge Doherty, supported by Richard Greenwald, who is a special advisor to me on youth violence prevention and a Stoneleaf Foundation Fellow. Harley is the third co-chair of that. It's in North Philadelphia's 22nd Police District, focusing on at-risk males, helping them to develop the social cognitive skills known to reduce violence and antisocial behavior. Rich Greenwald will have more to say about this program that we've been able to replicate from a novel one in Chicago. So we give a shout out to Chicago as well. In the last couple of years, I've been saying more and more that dealing with this senseless violence in our community has damaged neighborhoods all across America. We're losing potentially a whole generation and their promise. Young men and children get swept up in a complete whirlwind of pain and hurt and trauma. As a nation, as a city, neighborhoods, our families, we must work together to stem the violence that we've seen in many cities across America, and work with many, many mayors on this issue. As I said on a number of occasions, there's nothing broken here that cannot be fixed. But we have to work together, utilize the best ideas, best practices, and whether we develop them here in Philadelphia or utilize them from other places in the country, let's fund them, let's test them, communicate our results across the broad spectrum. And so now, thankfully, mayors across America have called on the federal government to work with us and our communities, the private sector, nonprofits, and so many others, to marshal our shared resources to turn the tide against a culture of violence in America, and especially given understand the challenges of young men of color and their particular circumstances. So, obviously, I'm very pleased about this new funding. It's a demonstration of the support and partnership that we have with our federal partners. So do me a favor, and one more time, let me hear it all the way out on the West Coast. Give a huge round of applause to our partners in the Justice Department.
And I know that it's quite early there, so go get some rest. Go get some rest and then get back to work. See you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you. And next we have the person who actually sat down and decided to do some really good information, Deputy Commissioner Kevin Bethel, to describe his program.
I didn't write any notes, and I purposely did this because this is something that I feel so strongly in my heart. The mayor really, under his leadership and under Deputy Mayor Gillison's leadership, it really given me an opportunity to be here and start this process. And as you saw, the mayor really outlined what our goal was in this program was to really reduce the number of young people being arrested. When we have a 10-year-old who comes to school with a pocket knife, and we're arresting that child, putting him in a car, taking him to the district, keeping him or her there for 6 hours, giving him or her a record, and then asking ourselves, not knowing the situation at home and not knowing how much trauma that occurs at his home is not the right place to go. And so when the opportunity, so first and foremost, I'm going to take my 2.5 minutes to be very thankful here. First, I'm going to thank Commissioner Ramsey and Commissioner Ross for giving me the opportunity in their leadership role to sit here and start this process. As I started this journey, I went to Dr. Height and I sat down with Dr. Height, who I have a lot of respect for, and I know Karen was there as well, and asked him would she be okay? I didn't really need his permission, but I wanted his ability to say, hey, Kev, this is the right direction to go. And right away, he jumped on that. And from that process, I started this journey and walking through and looking at the mentorship. And I have to turn to my buddy here, Bob. I've known Bob for a long time. Drove him home a couple of times, at least once. But not only is Bob, I don't think you know what stands here before you. Is not only is he's ultimately a very good person, first and foremost. But his leadership now on a national level is taking this country in a whole different direction. And I don't say that because we're friends, because I've now been able to experience and be a part of that coattail and look at his mentorship as he guides me through this process. So I'm so extremely thankful to him and the Office of Juvenile Justice Prevention for what they're doing across the nation and how the support they're giving us on the ground. So I want to personally thank you, Bob. The next person, I looked in the room, I don't see him, but George Mosey is not here. But you can't talk about juvenile justice if you don't have George Mosey in the room. George is not here. He's the Deputy of Juvenile Justice, Juvenile 1801 Vine. And when I wanted to start this process, he pushed me and prodded me and hit me over the head, but we finally got it done. And so without his guidance, I'm forever thankful. And then I move into that part where you hear Judge Dockett. I know his chief, Castro, is here representing him, and I know I saw Benny Price in the room. Again, through their leadership and guidance, they've been able to help me and walk me, because I'm in a place I don't know. When I walked down this journey, I wasn't sure where I was going. I'm a cop who's been locking up people all my life, and that's what I do. Then you're talking about letting kids go. Oh, my God. You know what I mean? Are you turning to a liberal, or are you shifting to the left, or what are you doing? And then I often found myself finding a place that I say, you know what, it brought me to the right place and doing things for the right reason. So I personally want to acknowledge some people in the room, and it may not be a little bit of challenge, but first and foremost, the commissioner from DHS, Vanessa, who's taken over the helm, but before her, Ann, who's on board with everything we're doing, and not only doing that, and to me, as her deputy, came on board to give me the services to provide for these young people. Without them, I could not do that, and the court was prepared to give me their services, but they were able to even give me on the ground services all the time. So I want to thank DHS as being my primary and core partner in everything that we're doing. To the right, I see Rachel Holtzman. Rachel is in charge of the discipline, and from the beginning, she's a busy lady, but every time we've been able to sit down. But we're also doing some dynamic things now. We're communicating, and the kids that we are diverting, talking about what's going on with them and getting more services for them. And so I'm appreciative of her leadership and what she's doing. And then I look at the back of the room, and I see two folks from the Defenders Association, Rhonda, who works with Bob, who does a lot of DMC training with me, who's also been on board. Hey, well, how are you sitting down with someone from the Defenders Association? Because they just have as much stake in everything that's going on with the young people in this city as anybody else. And through her leadership and the work she's doing, it has been phenomenal. And also, I see Dr. Naomi Goldstein from Drexel. You heard the deputy mayor indicate that they'll be my research partner. Before I started this process with no money, Dr. Goldstein stepped up and supported everything I was doing. The money came after the fact. We've been at this since May. We've already diverted over 100 young people from the system who have not been arrested, and we're only 2 months into it. And so with her, first when I talked about it, no money, sat down with us, worked through the process. So I'm appreciative of her leadership and everything that she's doing. I know I may have missed a few folks. I want to talk to Mari and her team, Jocelyn. When we started down this process, we worked on a grant. We couldn't get that one. I came back. I said, will you work on this one for me? And sure enough, they did. They did an excellent job. And they really, really tied things together. With this grant, we're able to bring on Good Shepherd. I don't know if Good Shepherd is represented in the room. Oh, I'm sorry. There she is. When I met with Good Shepherd I talked about how we can do some mediation model, train my officers on mediation, how we can be able to take some of those issues that are going on in school, the group dynamic, and sit down and work through some of those problems before arrest. So I see the head of Good Shepherd is here today. We had a fantastic conversation 6 months ago, and here we are today. And so as you see, I am just so infinitely thankful to the teamwork that has been developed through this process, through our JDAI collaborative and all that, for what is going on today. We have the opportunity to change young people's lives. Across the country, I'm talking to chiefs and other people, and I say this: if I let a kid go for walking in school with a nickel bag of marijuana who may be self-medicating himself, or a young person who has a knife in his pocket because guess what? He may be fearful of going to and from school or something is going on, and he or she may never come back, then that's the right place to be. And if I'm walking kids into programs where DHS is able to provide to identify those traumas and those things that are going on in their lives, and we can have an opportunity to stop that before it gets any murder and get them through school. And the data says that we get them through school, 75% of them will graduate, and they get through school, they will never come back. I'll take those odds all day. And so our charge is to continue to move forward, to continue this process, because here's the other area, legislatively. There should be not any legislation on books that I'm locking up a 10-year-old for walking into school with a knife. And so though we get a lot of accolades for the work we're doing, I think the other part of our work is making sure that we look at the legislation and make sure there's time to change laws. I'll make one final acknowledgement. Kenny, who's on the ground, and Latonia, who's in the back, somewhere in here, where she's got her camera. I don't see her right now, but they're the ones. Where's Latonia? Come over here in the middle. These two individuals right here are working the program from the intake center. They're the ones on the ground each and every day, making sure that they acknowledge these kids and working with these families and getting out there. So I wanted to personally thank them for their work and their effort in moving forward, because they're the ones at the end of the day who make this happen. So I want to thank everyone for all this going on. I know I took up too many minutes, but I'm too passionate about what I do to talk in 2 minutes. Thank you, everyone.
So if anybody really wants to understand what culture change looks like, if anybody really wants to understand what it really means to have a true community policing effort, you're looking at what it is here in Philadelphia, and we are national leaders and best practices. So I just want to say that just because on behalf of our city, sometimes people don't believe it. Next, we have our Richard Greenwald, who heads up our efforts here at the National Forum on Youth Violence Prevention. Richard, come on up.
Thank you. Bob, sincere thank you. And it's been such a pleasure to be with you these last few weeks. Thank you, Mayor Nutter, Deputy Mayor Gillison, our co-chairs, Commissioner Charles Ramsey and Judge Kevin Doherty, Ronnie Bloom, and everybody else from the Stoneleigh Foundation. Thank you very much. Our partners at the Department of Justice have been extremely influential and supportive of our local youth safety collaborative. This DOJ grant, the one that's going for the Youth Violence Prevention Collaborative, will enable us to attempt replication and implementation of Becoming a Man, known as BAM. BAM speaks to many of the key elements of our Philadelphia youth violence prevention strategy, which seeks to reduce shootings and homicides among 14 to 24-year-olds in the neighborhoods of the 22nd Police District. This past spring, with the National Forum's support and connections, we traveled to Chicago to observe BAM. BAM is a cognitive behavioral therapy school-based initiative that targets at-risk high school boys. There's also a complementary program for girls. BAM was initially created in Chicago by the nonprofit Youth Guidance, in cooperation with the Chicago Public School System and the University of Chicago's Crime Lab. The Crime Lab is evaluating BAM. To go to Everett's point, we're intrigued by the promise of the preliminary results of BAM, which was resulted in 44% reduction in youth violent crime arrests and increases in academic performances. With this grant opportunity, we're eager to replicate that success here in Philadelphia. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
And Katie Wolfgang, Chief Service Officer for Mayor's Office on Civic Engagement and Volunteer Service. Or as I would always say, the person that continually comes to me and says, Everett, I just have one more thing I need to ask you. Katie.
So good morning, everyone, and a special good morning to Power Corps. I would like to thank our visionary mayor and Everett and the tremendous group of colleagues that I will say from a personal perspective I couldn't be more blessed to work with. We in Power Corps have big visions and big plans to take this program all across the country, but I can say with great confidence that there's no place that this could have started other than right here in the city of Philadelphia. We are thrilled to be here and to showcase ourselves to our friends and partners and to introduce ourselves to people who are new to Power Corps. So what are we? Power Corps is at its heart an AmeriCorps program. We are so thrilled to be part of a long tradition of national service in this country, and you'll hear about Power Corps as a jobs program, as a second chance opportunity, as many other things. But I will say to a person, everyone who comes to Power Corps embraces the opportunity to serve the communities that they came from and the communities that they want to be a part of. How do we operate? We are a deeply, deeply collaborative initiative coming through my office, but working all across the city of Philadelphia, working very closely with our stupendous partners at Education Work and leaders in youth workforce development at the Philadelphia Youth Network. We, up until right this minute, have been funded to engage 100 young adults over the course of a year in 5 to 6 crews per cohort. We're thrilled to grow to 8 crews in the spring cohort. All of our crews work a total of 9, each individual on every crew serves 900 hours over the course of their tenure as a Power Corps member, and all of that service happens in very, very close partnership with Philadelphia Parks and Recreation and the Philadelphia Water Department. I have to give huge hats off to Mike DeBerardinis and Howard Newcraig for their vision, for their financial support, but their full embracing of what Power Corps means now and what its promise is for the future. I want to thank for the people on the staff, my colleagues in both of those departments, Joan Blaustein and Barb McCabe, and the terrific working group at Parks and Recreation that Nick Esposito leads up, Gerald Wright, Alex Warwood, and Chevelle Harrison. We couldn't do the work we're doing in the Water Department without you. Over the course of the past year, 100 young adults, in the process of turning their lives in the direction that they want to go, managed to revitalize 1,000 acres of public land. They removed invasive plants, built berms, bioswales, and rain gardens to divert stormwater. They did trail and stream maintenance, landscaping, painting, and other freshening up of parks and recreation centers, and planted just under 1,200 trees in our great city. Our brand new crew of green stormwater infrastructure managers managed to remove 15 tons of debris from the city's waterways. So we are not just thinking about the future, but in the here and now, our Power Corps members are doing really amazing, amazing things. As alumni, our workforce development team of 2 is helping all of our members identify both their short and long-term goals and put an immediate plan in place to get to those goals. We have members who are, while they're serving sometimes and after they're serving, enrolling in post-secondary education at community college, and we're building partnerships with other institutions. They come back to us and do another term of service or reach out to other national service programs both locally and nationally. And most of all, they're pursuing and are already successful in career track employment in apprenticeship program with the water department, as seasonal maintenance attendants with Parks and Recreation, and with companies like CVS and Jefferson Healthcare. We're also working with SEPTA, Lowe's, and some smaller companies, Bartlett Trees, AKRF, Smith Playground, and Wash Cycle Laundry. We're so thrilled and proud of our model, and we're so appreciative of this opportunity to grow. I ask any of you who have not yet had the chance to be with PowerCorps to visit our website, powercorpsPHL.org, to sign up for our newsletters, but most of all, to come out and serve with us, to visit our trainings, to serve on an employer panel, to network with our young people. I can say with great confidence, and I think I would like to ask all of our staff who are in the room to stand, because this is not a one person, this is a huge team effort, so we can have our staff of crew leaders, operations team, executive. I want to point out that while I'm doing all the talking, all of the great work that comes out of our office around this initiative is done by Julia Halengas, Deputy Service Officer. And so I will say, and I'm sure that this would be shared by all of my colleagues in PowerCorps, that I am never more excited and more hopeful about the future of this great city than when I am in the presence of PowerCorps. And to give you a sense of what that feels like, I'm going to invite Javon Mamasian to come to the podium. We are so lucky. We thank RISE for sending Javon our way, and I will turn it over to you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is once again Javon Mamasian. I was appointed to the RISE program to PowerCorps. Not quite sure what it was. Mr. Tyrone Ward at the RISE program, he let me know this is a good thing. Check it out, see how you like it. I went there, talked to the staff. My interview was with Michelle and Shanita. Got a sense of what it is. I wasn't really kind of thrilled about it. I've never served in anybody's community. I've done a lot of wrong in my life. But I was trying to turn over a new leaf. I said, okay, this is an opportunity. I can seize and take advantage of this. So that's what I did. I started out as a crew member, last cohort. I went in there, grind, did everything I had to do. Showed up on time, planting trees. It actually changed my outlook on life, because before I didn't recycle. I used to throw stuff on the ground, pay it no mind. But once you get in the field, you start to work, you like, man, why would I throw something on the ground and I have to turn around and come pick it up? How much sense does this make? So yeah, that gave me a different outlook. Like I said, I grinded hard, man. Went out there, did everything I need to do. My crew leader, Mr. Mabari Bird, man, he taught me a lot, man. He guided me the whole way, man. Come on, man. Javon, you can do it. Come on, man. Man, like I said, I wound up catching on to it, man. Starting to be a leadership role. I started to pick up leadership as I went along, helping my other crew members, picking them up. Come on, y'all, get it together, man. We need to get this done. We're here for a reason. And the outcome of that is, the benefit was I became an assistant crew leader for this cohort. So now I'm also here to lead my crew and other crew members. On the guide, to better this up, basically, man, to show them what I once was and where I'm at now. Like I said, I just want to thank PowerCorps and Ms. Katie, Ms. Julia, Mr. Marty, and all the staff that's in the room, man. It's a good program. It's an opportunity for youth. I'm 25. I had a rough life growing up, doing wrong. But at the same time, I'm here. I'm doing right. I'm trying to better myself. Now, I want to end it all with a little taste of what PowerCorps is, a little PowerCorps spirit from us, man, the crew members in the room. Stand up, y'all. When I say power, y'all say core. Power, core, power, core, power, core. PowerCorps, how y'all feel today? Fantastic, terrific, great, all day long. We motivate, we keep varsity operate. We network
I just want to say this is a happy Monday. It is a happy Monday. Thank everyone. We'll be glad to take any questions if there are any from news media or anyone in the audience about it, but seeing none, which means it's a great Monday. And I always want to know, sometimes from my friends in the press, I said, this is a great way to start the week. Let's see if we can start the week with good news, and let's see if we can end the week with good news. So thank you for being here. God bless, and thank you for supporting us.